Hey guys. Hey Zephyr. I'm doing a little better, yeah. And at this point, part of the reason why I'm going to be doing the stream is because part of the audio from this is going to be used in another video. Because I kind of want to break down what happened. And I want to try and logic a few things out. If that makes any sense. I'm aware, guys, but sometimes I can get into a state of mind where I can't necessarily be helped. So, being there for me is one thing. It's just, I know it can be frustrating for everybody because it's like my ass isn't really there.
Oh, we're trapped.
Hello, Walter, dear, are you there?
Issa?
Took longer than I'd like,
Nexus.
but I managed to pay off one of Slayton's security consultants. They've patched me in.
All right, we've got her out. I'm aware of the...
Doors will open in 3, 2, 1. Slayton's guards and employees are all over. Be careful. Okay. You'll want to use the vent system to slip around unnoticed. There's a cupboard just to the right of the elevator you came in on.
Alright.
That's the elevator you came in on. Jump right across the top of it and keep going to the end.
I'm going to heavily abuse the quick save function.
Drop down and follow the conduit all the way to the end, past the fork.
And weirdly enough, this kind of mission that is just
above you. Just climb
follow the prompts. It's actually really fun.
The room below you is clear. Drop down.
May stink to high heaven, but it's all part of the job.
Oh, blum. So, as I said, I mean, I bludgeoned it with a, like, 20-pound weapon. Of course it died. Slug. So, first things first, let's start with the last collab stream. Because that, I don't know. I think it's something that was a long time coming. Because we have not had, to my knowledge, a collab season in recent history that didn't go badly. That didn't lead to somebody leaving the group. That didn't lead to somebody getting pissed off at somebody else, or somebody blocking someone else, or somebody refusing to talk to somebody else. And I can't keep up with that. I cannot keep doing that. I have been trying my damnedest to stay away from negative thoughts like that. I have been trying to put myself into less situations where I have to deal with that. And I don't know, I guess I just got... Uh, I fucking lost my shit over it because it it can get grating. Where all of the shit with Jackie started, though. And no, for the record, I do not mean Jackie Versa or even the Serb. I mean a completely different Jackie. You guys would probably know her as the one that stops by occasionally and gets me really fucking stoned. So, the night of that stream, Jackie came into town, came over, hung out with me, offered me drugs, gave me weed. And somewhere in that conversation, the idea of essentially firing the entire collab team and just restarting with her as the only other member of the team came up. First red flag. Second red flag. I had reached a point where I wasn't feeling well. I knew I was too stoned, and she encouraged me to keep going. Even refused to take a less than half smoked joint from me when I told her I don't want the rest of this. And then decided it was a good idea to, out of the blue, in this particular situation, just randomly hand me money. $100, in fact. Which I, not so immediately, but I straight up said I wasn't comfortable taking it. I told them, you know I can't take this, and the immediate response was, yes, you can. So understand, in certain circumstances, I don't feel comfortable accepting gifts like that. Good example, when I have had a really, really bad situation happen, if somebody offers me something like that, I will usually decline in those situations unless it is an absolute necessity. Reason being is I don't like taking money from people. Never have. In fact, mentally, the only way I can get around people donating to the channel here is by effectively reminding myself that I don't charge anyone for a service rendered. And as an entertainer, that's unheard of in most places. So I just consider the donations given a donation for services rendered, a tip. Next to zero interaction with me, though, for months, come in out of the blue when I'm not doing well, and hand me $100 when I'm telling you I'm not comfortable continuing to consume the drugs you're handing me. That's a red flag. But I overlooked it because she was drunk. I figured it was just her being a little pushy. Fine and dandy. She's been like this in the past. It's fine. I just calmly told her no. Decided to walk inside. I wound up keeping the $100 because she wouldn't accept it back. I know her. Next day after work is a... She told me the night that all of it happened, that the next day after orientation, after work and all that, she wanted to hang out and go have lunch. I told her then and there that I wasn't comfortable traveling too far away from home. Golden, we'll just go to a place down the road. Well, it sounds good. So we go to one of my favorite little diners. All fine and dandy. They want to go and hang out a little bit. Jackie and two of her friends, one of them being her husband, one of them being one of her really old time friends from high school. So known just as long as she's known me. Golden. So we go out thrifting just down the road. We have been in the car now twice, and in both instances, Jackie has smoked multiple blunts, hotboxed a moving vehicle, and is encouraging me to do the same. That is a felony. That started to grate on my nerves, and I started to get ever so slightly overwhelmed. Golden. After thrifting, so what's the plan? Oh, we're gonna go to my hotel, and then we can send Kit home in a lift from there. Big red flag. They are over two cities away from me where they're staying. I'm not comfortable traveling outside my city or outside an area that I can feasibly walk home from. But I get ignored. This is when I find out I'm in the back seat. I can't open my door unless the doors are unlocked. I can't unlock my door. Not properly, at least. So I'm golden. Could have just been that it was a failsafe of the car, well, so it wouldn't be openable while it was moving. That is always a possibility. We get to the hotel, and I am already pissed. And then they go and say, let's leave some of the items that we just grabbed with this person. I don't have any contact with them. I don't feel okay with that. Something very personal of mine is wrapped up with the breakables that are in that particular bundle that they're talking about. I'm not comfortable relinquishing that to anyone. I try to vocalize that, and Jackie stops me from talking. Huge red flag. Very, 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 very big red flag. So this is where I lost it. I took off my seatbelt, got out of the car, slammed the door after saying I'm going home. Jackie has tried to claim that I said I'm going to kill myself immediately. But I know myself. I know why I go suicidal verbally, and I wasn't that far gone by then. I was just stressed. I still wanted to try to communicate. I thought this might all just be an understanding. She is incredibly intoxicated. Golden, I need to calm down. I need to walk away for a minute. So I walk away. And I go back. And I try to converse with her husband, who is not as intoxicated, more level-headed. I don't want her around because I don't feel safe around her at this point. Because understand something about me as a person. When I was a child, I was the victim of rape. The only way I could get the individual who fairly regularly hurt me to stop hurting me, and I don't just mean sexually, I mean this person would physically beat me, was to threaten to kill myself if they didn't stop. It was a way that I would effectively prove that they had been doing it to the police, because at that time, no adult in my life believed when I said that they were doing this to me. So it is a psychological trigger for when I am suffering from insanely bad traumatic experiences, when people refuse to listen, and when I do not feel safe. It happens when I am terrified of both what I might do to try to get away and what might happen if I try to tell the wrong person, because when I was a kid, I actually actively got in trouble for trying to tell people that this person was hurting me. To the tune of beatings, and at one point, even having the back of my head slammed halfway through a wall. So, understand, I know when that starts to trigger. I become very conscious of it when it happens, and I hate that it happens. I really do. I have never in my life, save for maybe twice, ever gotten to a point where I legitimately wanted to hurt myself. And yet I've gotten to the point of saying it so many times I have forgotten what the count is now. I know what level of stress I have to be at for it to start. I know how to calm myself down after it started. And so long as everything goes perfectly, I can stop myself from going any further than just the thought of, I want to escape. This is an easy way to do it. So, when I say that I know for a fact that when I left that vehicle, I had said, I am going home, I mean it. Because of the disability that these outbursts are caused by, I cannot forget any detail of any of the times I have lost control. They are scarred in my memory so vividly that they haunt me. I am conscious of every detail, and every time I lash out and instinctively try to hurt people. And it is one of the reasons why I can't stand to look at myself, and why I am so bad around mirrors. Jackie has tried to claim that I was losing control even before I got out of the car, and I was. I was overwhelmed. Because between lunch and the thrift shop, we had passed by a man on the street who was in the middle of a mental episode and was yelling at someone who wasn't there. This man was obviously homeless, and they started mocking him relentlessly, using terms like those people or savages, and I am not okay with dehumanization in any way. The thought that somebody I considered a friend would say something like that around me. I got very quickly overwhelmed, and I tried to push it out of my head, thinking, they're intoxicated, they don't know what they're saying, they're just being assholes, let it go. And I tried. And it escalated. And it got worse. Right up until it switched from ragging on homeless people to anti-Semitism and racism. At which point one of the people in the car started apologizing and yelling at the other two to quit. Because they weren't certain that I would be okay with their jokes. At this point, I was not able to talk because of how overwhelmed I was. I regained the ability to communicate while at the thrift shop because I found a couple things there that I was going to buy. I technically needed for the house because we're in the process of getting rid of all of our old stuff and replacing it with things that are simpler and easier. We are trying to free up space because for the last 4 years, everyone in our household has been in a depression, and we have let the house go to hell. Everyone in my house is trying to fix that now. So I was pitching in, and Jackie and them decided, okay, we'll pay for it for you. It's not that much. If there's anything you see that you want with these items, go for it. We can afford it. I can afford it. And so, okay, we get done thrifting, get in the car. I am handed a blunt of my own and told, light up, not asked. When I say no, Jackie opens up one of her own, lights it up, and hotboxes the car while we were driving, which again is a felony. And understand, I cannot press charges for any of this because at this point it is hearsay, and because of the situation I was in, it will be a 3 against 1 statement. This is actually how people in the past have weaponized things like the police against me. So this is where this gets worse. After I try to communicate with Jackie's husband, Jackie insists on inserting herself into the conversation, even knowing I was not okay with it. I even yelled at her that she was the problem and she needed to go away because her presence was making me worse. At this point, she could have gone into the hotel and could have started the process of checking in and left me to talk to her husband. She knows full and well that when I am not around the object of my anger at the moment, I am perfectly calm. But apparently she claims she did not trust me because I was already suicidal. I wasn't. Because I was still actively trying to communicate. Another thing to know about me is if I am manic and trying to communicate, even the smallest amount, it means I am still trying to calm myself down. And even if it is me screaming and crying that you need to go away, that is me trying to say that you are the object of my anger and you are making it worse. In moments like that, all I need is for you to listen. If I am granted that, I can easily calm myself down. It will take between 10 to 15, maybe 20 minutes for me to do it on my own. But it is easy for me to do in solitude. I was begging her to leave me alone, and she refused. I even told her I need to calm down, and she refused. This is when I told her, just call the lift, I'm going home. She called the lift and then told me she wanted to travel with me. This was my breaking point because it meant I would be in a private situation with this individual. Within arm's reach. No. Hard no. I do not feel safe around this person. I do not feel that I can be close to them in any form without being a physical threat to them. Because they have me backed into a corner in a situation where I am outside my safe area, outside my city, even. Outside anywhere where I recognize the locations around me. So for all intents and purposes, I cannot get home. So this is where I went suicidal. And this is also where I started planning to give her the ultimatum of call the ride now and let me leave. I don't care about my items. Just let me leave. Alone, or I am calling the cops. She refused. Told me I would have to come up to the room to get my own items because they're mine. Hard pass. Not going into a room with you and your husband alone where you can lock the door. Hard pass. especially with the fact that the night prior, when I was conversing with you, when you refused to let me stop consuming a narcotic, you offered to let me fuck your husband while you watched. Hard pass, because at this point I've been raped before. I know how it starts. These are all the red flags of trafficking and rape. This is when I threaten suicide, get as far away from them as I can, ensure that there's no way they can touch me outside of a public area where they cannot grab me without someone noticing, and this is where I separated myself from them, got a way to get around them into the hotel, and called the police. The police were not allowed into the room because Jackie and her husband fled the scene, knowing that I would call the police. I had to be escorted home in the back of a squad car. Understand, I was soaking wet from a rainstorm that had been happening. I was in physical pain because I had been outside for so long in the cold and rain that I was, by the time I got home, suffering from the signs of hypothermia. Meaning I was very, very close to dying. If I had fallen asleep when I got home, I would not be here. So I warmed myself up. And I tried to explain to Jackie what all she did. Because this is somebody I have known since I was a child. We have had fights before. I wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt that maybe in my own mania, I thought something was happening that wasn't. This is when she convinced me to let her and her husband drop off my items so we could talk. And she convinced me that we should try and stay friends. Because, reminding me again, we're both stubborn, we're both hard-headed, and we both have issues. But we have never let that come between us before. We have always persevered in the past. Okay. This is a start to a possible fix. Maybe it was a misunderstanding. They drop off my stuff, we converse, everything is fine. 5 minutes after they leave, I get a text from her with a screenshot of me talking, stating I have been abducted when I tried to communicate with everyone in my Discord during the events of that night, claiming that it was disrespectful to her and that it hurt her, and that I should just explain to everyone that, no, I was just throwing a tantrum, I'm insane, so it's logical to think that I go crazy sometimes. She was trying to convince me to tell everyone that nothing actually happened and that I was the one entirely at fault. And when I refused and hung up on her, she tried to do it on her own by trying to convince people in the Discord, in the lobby, that all of this was a giant misunderstanding and that I had just had a moment and had a tantrum, and that nothing actually happened. This was before I could coherently type well enough to explain any of this, and she knows that. She knows my recovery stages after my breakdowns because she has seen it countless times. This is where she was blocked on all possible accounts, where I know her username. That was the last straw. Gaslighting me and trying to convince me to tell everyone that I was solely to blame for the events of that night. That is where a friendship ended. In that moment. That is where a member of my chosen family stopped being my sister and started being one of the people who has betrayed me, who has intentionally and knowingly hurt me. So when I say that I am not okay, I am not okay in any way, shape, or form. I have not been able to stop shaking since this happened. I cannot even look at the gift that Avia had given me, that I had been wearing that day, without it just being a reminder of how I was betrayed. So, give you guys an idea of what I've been going through. If you have questions, ask. I am going to take a little time to get a little further in my game.
Stop. One of the doors leads you right into the open. I'm unlocking a safe route. Opening the door on your right. Go now. Head left, but don't go through the door at the end yet. There's a robot stalking the hall. Wait. It's walking down the hall. Go now, straight across through the door. Keep going all the way to the end. Wait, there's people in the room up ahead. Closing the shutters. Another robot up
SN28.
ahead.
That is why I am doing this stream. This is going to be a full decompress and a full breakdown of everything that happened in the moments that this happened. And it's going to be from my perspective, so understand. There will be some biases. Because yes, I will fully admit, I was manic during part of this. And if any of you are to any degree knowledgeable about the states of mania, I was at stage 1, borderlining stage 2. So I don't fully remember certain aspects. Like, for example, I know that at one point I was standing outside alone, calming down in the pouring rain. By choice, I know that much. I don't know how long it was because I had no way to gauge time at that point. SN28, mania is when your mind starts to break down. Stage 1 is you become paranoid, you become increasingly jittery, shaky, and you start to believe that you are in danger for no apparent reason. You perceive everything as a threat. Stage 2, you feel there is somebody actively attempting to harm you. Stage 3 is total blackout and total instinct. Stage 3 is when you get so bad that you lose so much touch with reality that everything becomes a paranoid, delusional nightmare. Yes, Aiden, because as a response when she was gaslighting me, I banned her. That ban will not be lifted. Because I'm sorry. Misunderstandings and miscommunications I can understand, especially since I know I have a history of mania. I know that sometimes I may not fully remember everything. But I also know that I have been in that state so often that I can recognize which stage I am in and identify the stages and the steps needed to descend through them safely. Because for me, stage 2 is when the suicidal ideation and vocalization starts. That, Jackie, was part of the break. That was a response because, again, when I was little, I was heavily abused. What I haven't stated openly is that the abuser was my father, my biological father, who would do things like slam me into a wall and scream at me and tell me that I'm a no-good thief because I dared to steal a cracker after being starved for days because he didn't feel like cooking. So yeah. The amount of psychological and physical torture this man put me through for the first 8 years of my life, and then again between the ages of 11 and 16. There are reasons why I am considered unfixable. Why what I have is characterized as compound PTSD or compound post-traumatic stress disorder. It is akin to what happens to soldiers when they come back after having killed far too many people at once on a battlefield, where their psyche snaps and can never be fully fixed again. When I break, there is no filter, and in those moments, when I break, I am reliving all of the pain that has been inflicted on me in my lifetime. I am reliving every moment where I have broken and hurt someone, or where I have been forced into a situation of helplessness, where I couldn't fight back for fear of my life being taken from me. So yeah. When I said family doesn't mean anything, understand that where my family started, where the Kilavaris family started, was back when I was in junior high. When I initially created the group that all of you guys would know as the, quote, campus mafia that I ran as a child. The group that effectively protected each other from bullies and from those who would effectively try to harm us, who were effectively in our school untouchable because of who their families were. Yes, it is, Zephyr. Because I know the damage it does when someone hurts you. And I know how much worse it is when that person has that much authority and that much power over you. Because I remember in the times that my father was hurting me, the only reason I didn't fight back is because in my head somewhere I was telling myself, he's doing it because he loves me. He's punishing me for something. This is my fault. So yeah, in situations where I get really vocal about if your parents are hurting you, that's a very very weird subject for me. And it is one that I am very, very deadly serious about. Because I have seen how bad it can get. How bad it can get firsthand. Because I have lived it. No, SN. It wasn't my parents that put me through that. It was my father specifically, because understand, for all of the problems I have had in the past with my mother, she saved me. She made sure that when she found out what he had been doing to me, that he couldn't come anywhere near me. She fought tooth and nail to make sure he could not hurt me anymore. And the only reason I gave him another chance as a teenager is because she accepted that I was willing to try to forgive a true monster for what they had done. Because he had reached out and had so many times tried to apologize that I believed he had changed. So, another part of my PTSD, and this is reinforced very harshly by the fact that I used to convince myself that what was happening to me was some kind of punishment, that I was at fault. This is where the term, or the nickname for myself, monster, comes from. When I say I have a monster inside me, it is me giving a name to what happens to me when I lose control. When I am hurting so badly that I cannot communicate without screaming. So please understand, when I say I am a monster, I don't mean a person. I mean, in the moment it is said, I am not okay. And it means that I am barely, barely able to keep it together. It means that I am fighting myself for control of what I do and say. So understand, the reason I changed my name, the Discord, is my way of saying that if I have said something hurtful, it is not me. It is my sickness lashing out at everyone and everything to try to find isolation so that I can heal. So to answer your question, Jackie, no. When I said family doesn't matter, I wasn't saying we are not family. I wasn't saying you don't matter to me. I was trying to convey that it was one of the oldest members of my family that was hurting me. And that the word in that moment meant nothing to me. Because understand, in their prior life, Jackie's name was Andrew. And in dealing with the group that I controlled, that I led, that helped protect people from campus bullies whose parents were too rich for the campus or the school to be willing to punish them in any way for what they did. Andrew was one of the 3 people below me. He is somebody as close to me as Tony was. He was one of the people who began my family with me. He was one of my original 3 siblings. This predates me meeting Avia. My connection to him predates me meeting anyone who knows me on these streams. My connection to this person predates all of my current friendships now, because they were the last remaining connection to my past that I still had contact with. This is a person who has seen me through some of the hardest moments in my life, who helped to keep me out of prison at one point in my life by literally beating me until a point where I couldn't stand, because they knew if they didn't, in the moment I was going to kill someone. Because that was back when I didn't have control, as much as I do now, over my own monster. This person doing this to me hurts more to me than it would if one of my own blood had tried to kill me. And I know this for a fact because, understand, my own blood relatives have tried to kill me. And that isn't an exaggeration. One of my own brothers told me, in no uncertain terms, that if I ever disrespected him or my mother again in his presence, he would choke me to death. While he was doing this, he was emphasizing his point by beating my head into a wall and choking me by pressing his thumb into my esophageal canal, specifically into my Adam's apple, the thing that if you squeeze it too hard, your throat collapses and you die. The only reason he let go is because my mother screamed that he was killing me. That is the only reason he stopped. Because I could feel my throat collapsing in that moment. I could feel my Adam's apple. It's one of the reasons why my voice, when I am actually speaking at a comfortable tone, is as low as it is because there's damage to that part of my throat. It's also one of the reasons why I have such a weird range of capabilities when it comes to vocal control, is because I had to effectively relearn how to talk after what he did to me. So yeah. Can you guys see why I'm a little fucked up right now? Sammy, I wouldn't want people to be fiscally with me right now. Understand, Jackie decided to give me more than enough money to live off of for a little while as a gift. Which means I don't want donations right now. In fact, I would not allow them. I would straight up refund them, which would be a detriment to me, because every time I have to refund something like that, I get charged $2 on top of what is being taken out of my account to refund it. It is one of the reasons why one of the common tactics to assault somebody financially on the internet is to do what is called a uh, dump donation, which is you donate the minimum amount over and 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 over again, and then force a refund through a broken system that will triple the amount that they have to pay back to refund all of them, and multiplying it by a factor of however many times you donated. So, hey Zephyr, love you too, man. And thank you. I know you've been through a lot of the same things as me. And honestly, I am happy to know that it is not quite as bad for you as it was for me. Understand, when you start feeling like you are losing control, if you ever wind up like me, like this, understand, it does not matter how bad you think you are at that moment, or how much you think that it is not worth it, or how much you might hate yourself. Come to me. Because honestly, I understand. And the only reason why I have to isolate myself in those moments is because I was forced to go through it alone. I did not have anyone to go to when people were hurting me. One of the reasons I created this channel was to build a community to help people who have been hurt, whether by loved ones or not. Yeah, and that would be why. It's also one of the reasons why, and I know I've jokingly explained this, because I know people in the past have made daddy jokes around me without knowing, and have offhandedly said things like, "Can I call you daddy?" as a joke. I will usually respond with, "No, that's reserved for Avia," but in truth, that's off limits to everyone. Because my father insisted that I call him daddy when I was little. That is one of those words. It doesn't matter how, who, or why hearing it physically hurts. I have gotten to a point where I am okay with it in certain contexts. I can joke about it with other people. I can say the word in reference to, "Oh, that is this person's daddy." I can do that. I cannot call anyone that on my own. And any time it has been suggested that I call somebody like that in a sexual way, in my past, the only person who the relationship did not immediately end that moment with was Avia. Because he recognized that that is not an okay word when in context to aimed at me or requested from me. Because I explained to him what had happened. So, that's the thing. Heather, the reason why I wanted to do this stream is so I could vocalize what is happening, what is wrong with me. That does help. And knowing that you guys are there for me is remarkably useful to me. Because physically I am in isolation. I can't hear anything that you guys are saying right now. But I can read it at my own speed. And that helps. Anyways. Good night, Heather. Rest well. Hey, Burb. I'm aware of that. And understand that when I do not reach out, there is a reason. Because, yes, I can identify when I am in what stage of mania. I can identify when I am not okay. I am also painfully aware that there is a point past which I will start lashing out and trying to hurt and cause pain to everyone around me, whether they're trying to help or not. That is why I isolate myself to calm down. That is what I have been doing up until the beginning of this stream. And to be entirely honest, it is a process that I need to go through. And I hate it with every fiber of my being. Because, in all honesty, in those moments, the only thing I want to do is tell you all how much I love you, and that none of this is your fault. That I know that there is nothing that you guys can do, and that I hate that fact in and of itself so much. For the record, for those who also do not know, I am very much addicted to smoking weed. Very much in the same sense that most people would smoke cigarettes. For me, it is not I want to be high, I want to feel happy. It's, I am too stressed. I need something to take the edge off. Because I can't stop shaking otherwise. It is the reason why you guys have seen me intoxicated and out of my mind stoned so often. And it is a thing I have struggled with and fought every day since it started. I know I'm never going to be free of it because, to some extent, I made it my only coping mechanism, and that burned it into my psyche that it is a need, not a want. So I may never fully be free of it. So understand, when I am doing that, it means there is something in my life that is not okay. And it might be something that is out of my control and making me feel helpless. In moments where I am doing that to myself, there is no way to help me other than to just be there. To just be there. And yes, I know it can be strange when I get overly intoxicated. But there are reasons for everything that I do. If I had any other way that I had found over my lifetime to cope other than intoxicating myself with weed, I would have, but the only things that work are just as destructive, and I refuse to become an alcoholic like my father was. I might enjoy a drink occasionally, but I hate that I enjoy a drink occasionally. I'll see you tomorrow, Zephyr. Rest well. Numb.
Wait for it to pass, then head straight across to the maintenance door next to the security gate. Go now! Let me just get that for you. You know the routine. Up the vent. It's a short one, I promise.
God. Good night, Tid. And it's good to know you're going to be around more. This is Starfield. Kind of obvious if you know, like if you're in the know when it's beginning. Also, mostly because it's plastered on the screen and has been for most of the day. Hey, Sammy. Here's the thing. And this is actually one of those things that sentiment is a very dangerous one. The reason being is the reason why I refer to the thing to my sickness as my monster is because I have hurt people in the past. In moments where I have gone past a point of no return, in a manic episode where I had to effectively be detained and taken to a mental institute because of how badly I had gone past stage 2. I have physically hurt people. I have hurt myself many, many times. And in one particular situation, I almost killed one of my best friends. Because he refused to leave me be when I told him that I needed space, and he tried to touch me. Because of what caused my PTSD, physical touch in any way when I am hurting or when I am panicked will immediately lead to me becoming violent. Everyone in my family knows this. Everyone in my family has seen me get past stage 1, and a good number of them have seen me get past stage 2. One of them in particular even intentionally forced me well into stage 3 to a point where I had to be hospitalized because of his abuse. That was one of my kids. That was John. That was Otter. For those of you who have been with the channel long enough, you will remember the issues that have occurred with him in the past, where he would get belligerently drunk and attack me openly during streams. Those are the few streams where the footage was deleted because some of the things he said would borderline racism and homophobia. And that's a thing. I will be right back. I need to pee. It's getting a lot of ads because of retention. And the fact that a lot of you haven't clicked off during the entire stream so far. The more you don't click off, the more you watch and retain your interest, the more stream will be broken up. Occasionally it will be occasionally every 30, or it'll be occasionally between, but it is set for every 30 minutes at different intervals for all people. The reason for this is because ad revenue is what I literally survive on in a lot of cases. So, that's a thing. Now, don't get me wrong, my freelancing helps. I do audio editing, and for those of you who know, like, my older videos, you would know how well I can match sounds up to emotional cues. It is very much a good thing. And I apologize. I know it's annoying for my viewers. But it is, in my case, a necessary evil, because things like ad blockers, if those ads don't run, I don't get revenue. Unless you're a premium subscriber. And I'm sorry, I'm not gonna try to convince y'all to get premium, because in my opinion, it's not fucking worth it. That's one of the reasons I am so vocal about I hate ad blockers. Because, understand, what I do here, I do at this point not as a job, but because I enjoy doing it. Last year, I only made about $100 total in ad revenue. I made about 300 total from donations, and then about $50 times 2, or times 12. So 600 off of Patreon, roughly. That's only about 1,000 or 2 a year. And I only brought in about 2,000 with my freelance work total. See why I say I am well below the poverty line. I joke about the fact that I eat like a king. I eat like a king very specifically because I know how to preserve a lot of foods in ways that most people don't know how to do anymore. Like, for example, I can take a solid shoulder of beef for 30 bucks and turn it into what would be the equivalent of about $1,000 worth of beef jerky, which will keep for up to 3 years without a refrigerator. 5 if you vacuum seal them. The only reason I eat as well as I do, or as well as I used to, I should say, because I haven't eaten like that in a while, is because I know how to make a dollar stretch in ways that most Americans, well, hell, most people would never know how to do unless they've had to go for a prolonged period without food. And understand, I know what it's like at one point to have to eat a mixture of lentils and rice for days on end because it was all I could afford. And understand, those moments, for a lot of people who wind up homeless or who wind up in that situation or wind up that poor, a meal like that can be all you need to find the the state of self-loathing required to do something you can never take back. I have known friends and family members who have gotten to the point of needing to eat that exact meal who made that choice afterwards, after a while. And it sucks. So, the reason I eat so well off of so very little. Because I learned how to turn a dollar into enough food to last a week at one point. Now, don't get me wrong, I've never been in a situation where I didn't have a roof over my head. I have never been that kind of homeless. But I have been homeless in the sense that I was paying at one point in my life to sleep on a buddy of mine's couch in his garage. And was only allowed to stay there if I paid rent, and was actively looking for a job. So, I know a lot of people think that I'm just some spoiled rich kid or spoiled brat from a middle class family that had it good growing up. And yes, I know I've had people accuse me of that. In fact, you know what? While we're airing shit out, uh, let's make this stream more about closure on a lot of things that have been fucking me in the head in a bad way lately. I had a friend a while back. I'm not gonna say her name or who she is, but she was one of the people that I trusted enough to let her know where I live. She wanted to send me a package at first, and she wanted to come and say hi because she was in the area. There are a select few people that are on this channel that are friends of mine that are close enough to me for me to trust them with that information. Understand, if you ever get to a point in your life and in my life where I am willing to give you that information, understand, there is no point beyond that that you can attain as my friend. If you know where I live, you are the closest person I have. That information to the select few who have it, I will let you all know, is me actively telling them that I trust you enough that if need be, I would trust you with knowledge that could have my life ended. Because there's a reason why I take so much care to try to be unfindable on the internet, and that's because I legitimately do have people that if they find out where I am, they will try to kill me. Some of them are people that I met back in the days where I didn't have a choice. Back in the days where I had to be a criminal to survive. And they are almost all enemies I made back then who never got as far out of that life as I did. Some of them resent me for it. Then there are the people that took the attacks on me way too far. There are people in Kiwi Farms who tried to dox me. One of them succeeded. And then someone on that site proceeded to try to have me killed by the police by attempting not one, but 3 swattings. So I'm getting off topic here. My friend that is that close to me, when she was being verbally hostile and abusive to somebody who was not in a good state of mind, who had told me they were not doing well, I tried to help diffuse the situation by talking to my friend, thinking, we have had calm, rational discussions before. When I told her that she needed to calm down and think more about what she was doing, she started going in at me. And I said in no uncertain terms that when you are doing things like telling somebody who is living with you that you would willingly kick them out the second they fail to produce the rent check that you have been nagging them about for weeks, on top of damn near requiring them to buy luxury items for the house for you, that's abusive. That's manipulative. I tried to call them out on it. And in no uncertain terms, she told me how much she hates me by trying to accuse me of actively wanting to hurt people that I love, by accusing me of using the channel to string them along. They claim that I have lied to everyone in the collab team and that I have been personally profiting to a massive degree off of this channel and everything that I have gained from it. Apparently, they believe I am making much more than I truly am through this channel, and believe I am just stringing along the members of the collab team that she's effectively claiming that I never intend to pay them. And I have been honest with every member of my collab team when they join. I can't pay them, because I don't even make enough to live off of. And of what little money I do gain for, or rather from the channel, about 60% of it per month goes back into the channel, buying things like games, or new controllers, or new cameras, or new microphones. So I have been upfront with all of my collab team members, I can't afford to pay them. When I can, I have promised each of them that when I am in a situation where I can afford to, I will. The second I am capable, I will pay them whatever I can, even if it is not enough. In any stretch of the imagination, when I can afford to know each month that I am not going to starve or lose my home, then I will pay them what I can. But she apparently believes that I am stringing them along, profiting off of the channel to an insane degree, which is not true, and has accused me of trying to manipulate, to intentionally hurt or provoke the people I care about and the friends I have in the collab team. She has effectively used my sickness against me, stating that when I lose control, I become abusive. And yes, I do. I will own up to that. I have always owned up to that. It is the reason I isolate. I do not enjoy doing that. I do not willingly seek out chances to do that like she claimed. She lashed out at me to a major degree. And this had been after not so subtly hinting in prior conversations that she knew a lot of the people in my area and knew some of them that were desperate enough to kill for enough money. She has hinted at that with me fairly often in random conversations. And now I think I know why. By the way, this is all the last time prior to the collab stream that I fucking lost it. This was the other individual that fucked my head up so badly that I had to retreat from society for a prolonged period of time in order to feel safe. It is the last time prior to the collab stream this week where the monster took hold. I will say this here and now. I can be a whirlwind asshole. I can be one of the most hurtful, hateful, spiteful creatures when I believe I am threatened. I am this way because I know that if I am forced into a position where I don't have a choice, I have to fight, I will fight. I won't run. Because of my mental issues, because of my PTSD, I no longer have a fight or flight response. The flight response comes when I realize I'm breaking. And if I break any further past that, if I believe I am threatened or in danger, the fight response immediately kicks in, and I become mean. If I am being an asshole, it's because I want to distance myself from that person long enough that I don't take a swing on them. And again, this is the reason I self-isolate when I am not okay. It is the reason I do things like flagging that I am in a bad situation by changing my account name to Monster, or by making myself go invisible or into Do Not Disturb on all social media platforms. I am aware that I can be a monster when I do not feel safe. And I take every step that I can fathomably fucking take to try to mitigate the pain that I can cause to other people because I hate that I can so easily. So yeah, a bit of a thing. SN28 or SN2B. That's SN28. I'll let you know if I need anything, but realistically, these streams going forward for a while are probably going to be like this, where it is mostly me talking. And if that is the case, I may start playing a different game temporarily, so I can focus more on venting and saying what needs to be said. Because, please understand, there's a lot more in my life that I can't talk about yet. and that I need to talk about. And at this point, these streams are the only way I feel comfortable doing that. Because in a way, it's the only way I believe that I won't be talked over. Because one of the things that triggers the fuck out of me, and yes, I hate saying that term, but it is the easiest way to describe it, is when people talk over me and try to silence me. It's one of the reasons why I try to be vocal about it when I am in voice chats. Hi, Claire. Tonight has been an interesting night so far. Oh, and by the way, I will say this. Last night, Jackie shot herself in the foot. I don't mean physically. Because had she not come in and addressed the lobby, no one would have known that she was the one to have done this, or that she was the one to cause this. I don't use names for a reason, because I know the ire that can come from others who believe that someone has hurt someone they care about. I have been the victim of that sort of ire several times due to people like Junkie. I do not encourage that in any way, shape, or form. And understand that for anyone, and I will say this here and now, just as a precaution, to anyone who might think that hearing this is enough to make you mad enough that you want to go attack this person, or yell at this person, or scream at this person, or confront this person. Don't. You will not be helping me. Emotionally, you will be doing more harm than good. And I will retaliate if anyone does that in my name. I will retaliate in the form of banning you from all streams, blocking you from all servers I am a part of, and pretty much excommunicating you from my life, save for one method. Because I made a promise to everyone. Everyone, just about, gets unbanned from these streams every 6 or so months. I do this so that the people who have hurt me have a chance to try to make amends and to try to own up to what they've done. A lot of people will say I am stupid for doing this, but it is because I believe so much in forgiveness. And the reason I believe so much in forgiveness is because if it weren't for all of yours, I would not be where I am today. Because I recognize for the vast majority of you who still watch these streams, I have doubtlessly hurt you in some way. I have either said something that hurt or done something that you've hated me for. Whether you are willing to admit it or not, I know I have. Because I instinctively hurt the people around me whenever I am suffering. Oh, I apologize if I have ever done that. I recognize that I do that on occasion. I hate that I do that. I really do. And yes, I know I'm rambling. Oh, I need to take a second, progress a little bit, and I don't know, by the way, how long I'm streaming, because I don't know If 2 hours is going to be enough to vocalize everything that I need to tonight. I know I've rambled off of so many topics. The one I wanted to get through the most is yes, I can be an asshole. And no one in this world hates me more for that fact than I do. I do not ever want to cause pain. I have never in my life wanted to hurt anyone. I have been forced into situations where sometimes I've had to, and been driven into situations where I couldn't stop myself. And I hate myself so much for it that sometimes I can't even stand to see my own reflection without becoming violent at my own image or against myself. So understand, I do not intentionally want to harm anyone I care about. I never have, and I never will. I hate everything about myself in the moments where I could even consider it an option. The moment my brain goes to, it would feel so good to just punch their teeth in, I immediately stop and start shaking because I cannot ever forgive myself. I would never be able to begin to forgive myself if I ever did that to somebody I care about. I know this because I have. And to this day, even though they have forgiven me and reminded me of that on multiple occasions, I still cannot forgive myself for it. I don't think I ever will be able to. So, when people start, and I'm gonna say it's probably an inevitability, but that could also just be my paranoia talking. When people start trying to say that I am intentionally abusive or harmful to the people around me, please understand it is never my intent. But I am, at my core, a very broken individual. And sometimes I cannot stop myself. And I will say things that will hurt. And trust me, no one will ever punish me for that more than I do to myself every minute of every day. Anyways, I need to stop rambling because I am becoming less and less coherent. I am going to try to focus on getting a little further in the game for just a moment here.
Almost there. Door on the right.
What is this? Oh, it's a cryo. The cryo tank that's leaking. That sucks.
There's the door. It should take you outside.
Outside? You expect us to climb up the trade tower?
There's a series of catwalks that lead directly up one floor to the executive level.
Well,
Okay. Oh, right, this would be considered theft.
Security is on full alert. No point slipping through unnoticed now. You'll have to fight your way to the exit.
I haven't quick saved in a little while, have I? I want to see if I can at least get to the outside area by the end of stream. Oh, okay. That should help.
Almost there. Door on the right.
What's up, Sammy?
There's the door. It should take you outside.
Outside? You expect us to climb up the trade tower?
There's a series of catwalks that lead directly up one floor to the executive level.
Well, I guess after you.
Well, I not auto-saved, but I saved much closer than I had thought.
Hey. What was that? It's on now!
look alive. Go!
Are you kidding me? By the way, for those who don't know, if you are ever actually physically near me in a moment where I am like this, or if you are near me in any way, if you want to know if it is safe to give me a hug or something like that, ask. Because I will be the first person to tell you if I am willing to be touched. And I am really the only person that can.
That was a hell of a thing to see.
Okay. I am not certain how to check that. Ah. It's one of the reasons why I'm doing side questing. The main campaign, I'm pretty much nearing the end. I just like to do the side quests a lot because, to me, that's where the majority of the game lies. Is in the story it's trying to tell outside of the initial story. I like the idea of character arcs between characters. I like the idea that there is more of a world and there is much more going on than what you can just see if you follow the story of one person. It's one of the reasons why I take so long with some of these games. It's because I'm not just trying to enjoy the game itself, the main story. I'm trying to immerse myself in that world. I'm trying to effectively lose myself. It's why I make the characters so much like me. And this one is specifically, they are very much like me. And I hate to admit that, because all of these responses have been what I would do. What I would really do. And I will admit in some cases, I hate the fact that I would. Because, I'm sorry, if forced into a situation, golden. One of the top 3 things there is what scares me about myself. Is because even in the real world, under the right circumstances, I know I would. I know I could. It's one of the reasons, again, that I self-isolate. And it is the one thing I hate about myself so much. It is what I consider the worst aspect of me. That if given the right situation, if I am protecting the people I love, and I believe there is no other way, I have no doubt that I would be willing to take a life. And I hate, absolutely hate, that I can so easily admit that. One of the reasons why I try to be a resilient and strong individual, why I very seldom enjoy the idea of admitting that I have been a victim,
If you got a thirst for, something.
I lost
Neon
my
can
train of
deliver.
thought. But effectively, if I am in a situation where I believe there's no other way, I know me. I would not enjoy it. I would hate myself forever afterwards. I would probably end my own life too. But if it came down to one of my loved ones and somebody who was, for example, trying to kill them, actively trying to kill them, nope. If it's my future or the future of the people I care about, golden, I would willingly sacrifice mine. And I hate that about me. And I know a lot of people will say, but that's a good thing. It means you're a good person. Yeah, I know, a lot of people think that. I live terrified that I may someday have to. And I pray every moment of every day that I am never, ever, ever put into that situation. That's one of the reasons why I am so very secretive when it comes to the people I trust. And try and understand that me admitting that openly is a very, very big risk. Because I know there are people out there that will come at me swinging for what I just admitted to, trying to claim that I am a dangerous and unstable and unhinged individual, because I would be willing to protect the people I love. There will be people that will say that because I admitted what I just did, that I am dangerous to everyone, that I can't be saved. I just know me well enough to know that, fuck it. I don't see my life as any more or less valuable than anyone else's. So if somebody I care about, somebody I don't want to have to suffer the way I have, is being put in a situation where it is life or death, where they may have to make a choice themselves, I have no doubt that I would make that choice for them, so they didn't have to. That is the only reason that would ever be anywhere near anything resembling an option in my mind. And even then, in a situation like that, I have also no doubt that I would try to find every possible way to avoid it. I just fucking plummeted to my death. Let's reload the game. But yeah, no. So yeah. I'm aware. I remember saving relatively recently, and since I haven't seen any enemies, I know I can just run to that area now. Because, if memory served... Why do I have a feeling I know what kind of... I think I have a thing. Is this a skip pack? No, it's a basic boost. Need to hit a balance. Later, Sammy. Numb. And by the way, for the record, I do not say anything like this with the intent to try to scare anyone or what have you. And I know there will be people that will accuse me of that too. Because there have been people that have accused me of that. I say all of this because I know that it's true. At very least in my own head. So it's one of those things of... I actively go out of my way to try to not put myself in situations where I might have to do something like that. I might be a dick. I'm not that kind of dick. There we go.
Personally, I think Neon's the heart of the first act.
There we go. Well...
You're already dead! I played games.
Nothing gets by me.
Everyone, move up! Hit him now!
Huh. I'm hoping that didn't just fuck up the... mission. I've 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 straight up done that a couple times, Jackie.
Never mess with a cove.
And understand, by the way, for those who are still listening, this game, all of the things in it are an extreme situation, where in the real world it would be life or death. That's probably the only reason why I am so willing to draw a weapon in a game like this.
You're coming in just behind the executive elevators. I'll call the one on the far end, and you can walk right over the top.
You know, it's moments like this that really makes Neon the best place to do business. You steal what's mine. I trap you in the city. You infiltrate my office. I lock it down. Where else can you match wits for the highest stakes but here?
You're enjoying this.
Aren't you? In the back of your mind, through the tunnel vision of adrenaline, there's a part of you that belongs here. It happens to all of us.
Ooh. So understand, I knew people like this in my past. Again, I do not hesitate to tell people that, yeah, I was a criminal as a kid. That is a part of a history that I left behind. And I fully own up to it. I know people who are like this, who believe that no matter what, if you have, in any way, for any reason, even considered it, you will eventually become like them. Doing it for fun. I hate those people. I can't stand those kind of people. Really can't. You drive me absolutely batshit crazy. Call off your guards, Slayton, and release my ship.
You have what's mine. I, indirectly, have what's yours. We are at a stalemate. Although, I do count a few more guns on my side.
You and Walter are business people. Some arrangement can be made.
I do admit, having the co-CEO of Stroud Eklund in my office is quite the opportunity.
How are your quarterlies looking, Nicholas? Perhaps we can add Slayton Aerospace to our supply chain, provided this unpleasantness was behind us.
Yes, I think that could be a most beneficial exchange. There is just the small matter of paying for the humiliation. Mr. Musgrove, my former employee, and the thief responsible for our serendipitous meeting, was caught prior to your arrival. I think it would cement our new partnership if you were to decide on his sentence yourselves.
Decide, as in we could let him go.
If you wish, you will have the opportunity to tell him yourself, shortly.
If you got a bad guy, even a little bitty bad guy, usually you bring them in. Your call, though.
My security brought Musgrove to my office. I'm sure seeing you again will be a fine conclusion to your previous business.
Yes.
Opportunity to spare a man's life. I know he probably wouldn't do the same for us, but that shouldn't matter.
Always nice to spend some time with you.
How are you feeling about our marriage?
Every minute with you is a gift. Truly. You see, you make me sound like a greeting card. Another day in paradise with you. But time to get back to work.
You're not gonna like me for what I'm gonna do. Or you may not like me for what I'm about to do.
Oh no. You. Slayton really does have a sick sense of humor.
Why'd you steal the artifact? I want the whole story.
10 years working in aerospace engineering, and they laid me off. You damn right I stole that thing. They tell you if you have talent and commitment, you can go far. But the truth is, it's all about who steals the most and gets away with it.
He wants me to decide what to do with you.
Please, I was just trying to sell a product, okay? Isn't that why we're all here?
Be lenient. We were taking advantage of his initiative, after all, even if we have found ourselves working with the man he stole from.
Everyone steals. You got caught. I'm sorry. I could let you go. You've suffered a lot. We're gonna get you patched up. Then you're going to jail.
Justice for some, huh? Fine. Rather be caged than dead.
You knew the risks, so don't act like a martyr, pal.
I will make the arrangements for Neon Security to take him into custody. You're free to leave.
Time to go. Let's talk more back at the ship.
I guess I should be grateful you didn't put me on ice.
This was a good meeting. Very productive.
We'll talk back at the ship. Goodbye.
Hey, if you go, I'll follow. In a romantic sort of way, not stalkery. Oh, we only just got started.
Please, learn when to stop talking. That's another thing that bugs the ever-loving fuck out of me sometimes, is when people don't know how the fuck to stop talking. Because it would have been cute if he would have just said, I'll go with you wherever you, or I'll follow wherever you go. Do not have to add the in a romantic way, not stalkery, because that just puts it into mind that you had the idea that it could be stalkery to say this, and decided to still say it.
Get going. Mr. Slayton is done with you.
God damn, Jackie. Num num.
Just one quiet day. That too much to ask for?
Very much
I
hate
see
being
you wearing that
the
Neuro
protective
amp.
type.
Don't try any of that mind control. Hello.
Here at Inham, we offer a full range of cosmetic and biologic. We'll be here when you're ready.
Oh, God, I hate this town. Oh, I hate this town so much. Just, I know it's... being in it feels claustrophobic. Oh. I want to continue the Freestar Rangers next game. But I think I'm going to talk to him. Illithids are terrifying regardless, Jackie. And that, by the way, is the actual name of a Mind Flayer, is an Illithid.
Hello,
Anyways,
Captain.
I think this is where I'm going to end this particular stream. For those of you who have stayed, for those of you who have come to hear me, and to actually listen, rather than just, you know, trying to find ammo to use against me. Thank you. I'm not gonna do my usual outro because I don't see this as a usual kind of stream. And I really don't want it to be. So, I'm just gonna end this by saying, thank you, everyone. I love you all. And I'm gonna go kill a fuck ton of demons with my brother and relax for the rest of the night, playing a new game that I'm not certain will ever see the streams. But for those who are wondering, Jackie gave me the $100, remember? She didn't take it back. She didn't allow me to give it back. So I figured, what's a weirdly disrespectful, as a gamer, way to use that money? So I bought Diablo 4. Any of you who enjoy video games, who know anything about Diablo, are probably laughing your asses off at this moment. But I have to admit, it's not as bad as people say. It's not great, because it does have a lot of the downfalls of 3. But it's not as bad as 3 was yet. But then again, I'm also only in the first act, so we'll see. Anyways, good night, Johnson. Good night, Delint. Good night, Jackie. Good night, Ramon. Good night, Sammy, if you're still listening. And good night to everybody else I might have missed. Thank you, everyone. And